Good morning, everybody. This is Lindsey and Waldrep coming to you from Crossville and covering show in Orlando, Florida. Welcome. We are going to do a panel discussion with some amazing people today, and we're going to be talking about remodeling and trends in tile. So, I have got Ann Rue. She's an Orlando-based designer. We met Ann a few years ago, and we met her at this show because she did the Design Installation Showcase panel for us. And then I've got Marilyn, who is also based here, and we met Marilyn through a DXV project a few years ago. And then I've got David Ecton, Lance Jackson from Parker Kennedy, and they're based out of Atlanta, and they're working on a fabulous remodeling project. So let's talk some tile. Ann, you have also, since we first met, worked with us on Hotel Impossible. And I always find it really interesting, and so do the people who are watching, I'm sure, of what really, really happens on some of those TV shows. But what we want to know is, how did tile play a role in your design?
When you're doing a renovation, especially for TV, even though you have a week to film, you really have 3.5 days to produce the product. So we would typically be on a project where there's flooring that's already existing. And we don't have time to do the demolition and take all the old tile out. So the laminate product really worked well for us in lots of occasions because it's such a large product and it's a thin product, so it covers a lot of space and it can go over existing tile. We did a project in Myrtle Beach where there was pretty much new tile that had just been laid down that was not working with the space, let's say that. So, so we came in with the laminate product and we were able to do it in less than a day. We did the full lobby and we did one of the guest rooms. And the laminate product worked so well for us that it was, seamless, less grout lines, and just made the installation so nice and so easy for us.
Those really were amazing before and after shots of that project, and I think it's really exciting to think about how tile, being a foundational product in design, that was kind of funny, but how quickly it can change a space. So I'm just going to change it up. Now, Marilyn, your experience runs the gamut. You do residential, you do commercial, but you are particularly fond of kitchen and bath design, which for a tile manufacturer is some very, very sexy stuff. How do you prioritize your material selections, and what role does tile play on creating some of your more colorful aesthetics in your design?
Is this working, my mic? Okay. So this. Oh, okay. Special.
You are today. You are.
Well, for me, because I like a certain look, or I have to go with a certain. It all starts with the look that I want, and the long-term upkeep of that space. Then I select the tile that I think will work well in that space, and I know that. And for me, Crossville is one of the brands that I look to first and foremost because of the diversity in tile selection that you have. And when I did when I designed the DXV bathroom space, the speakeasy tile was one of my favorites, and I think because it had that nice industrial look that I wanted, and it played very nicely in the bathroom space. And I just think that the whole look just flowed well with the bright, vibrant orange that I put in the bathroom. So I think it worked well. It's beautiful.
Do you tend to work when your customers to really talk about how they live and how they utilize the space? I was in a discussion yesterday where we talked about people's kitchens, and particularly how do they cook? Do they use their kitchen as just a glorified place to store their takeout, or are they actually rolling out pie crust? And how does your tile selection play into the user experience once they move in?
I think it plays it's a vital role because you tend to select the tile or materials based on how someone uses a space. Do they use it? Is it going to be a long-term maintenance issue for them, or do they just want, a showpiece? So they want the more fancy stuff. So, I think it definitely plays into how someone uses their space, and that's how I select the tile.
Perfect. So I'm going to move over here to David and Lance, and they have a really exciting project coming up. Parker Kennedy is a design firm in Atlanta, like I said, and they have just purchased a 1918 Beaux Arts mansion in Commerce, Georgia, which was owned by a former state governor, and they are in the throes of remodeling that right now. So when you guys are looking at your project, it's a national landmark home. How does this affect your demo and your selections and how you update your home but still keep it within a certain level of historic sensitivity?
Do you want me to speak or do you want to speak? Well, our current home has a rainbow of bathrooms. The house has 7 bathrooms in it. So that's a little bit of a problem in the sense that toilet paper comes in a 6-pack roll. So anyway, we have a pink bathroom, a green bathroom, a white bathroom, a yellow bathroom, and a couple of white bathrooms. And so they were all done in the 50s, and so they all need to be removed because it doesn't reflect what was existence in the 1919, 1918 time frame when they built the house. The beautiful thing now is there is a tremendous emergence and trend to go back to the 1919 look. And so when we were in the basement going under the stairwell, we found the original tile. And the beautiful thing is Crossville has something very similar to that original tile. So that's one of the beautiful things. Another thing too is working with Crossville, our eyes have gotten open so much more than I've ever thought before. Lindsey had come over to the house to walk it with us, and she says, you could put a tile up here on the second floor. We have over the porte-cochere, we have a second floor balcony off the master bedroom. And I looked over at her and I said, well, I have a problem with that. I was pressure washing it the other day and I slipped and fell. So I'm afraid about that. And Lindsey's like, we got a solution for you. And so she went in and talked to me about the technical solutions about putting a Crossville tile on the base of the floor so we wouldn't slip and fall. And so a lot of those things came into play. So we're just thrilled to be able to work on this project and to work with Crossville and have that expertise to say, hey, this was perfect for the time period, this is what we can use.
The solution that we were looking at was specifically our gauged porcelain tile panels, that laminate product that Ann was looking at, to be able to have this beautiful white marble that was so common during that era, but how do you keep it clean? And so we talked about some of the specialized coatings that are available now that make that tile, I'm going to use a fancy word, make it hydrophilic so that it becomes almost self-cleaning on an exterior. And I think that that's really, really exciting in the design community, is what the industry is doing, what our company is doing to bring these more creative solutions to designers such as y'all to really help you with your projects. But in helping you, what are some of the things that you would like to see happen with the installation community when it comes to remodeling? And do you ever have disagreements with the GC over saving something versus tearing it out? And she's ready.
I'm sorry. I'd like to speak about that. Yes, it's always a challenge because installation of the product is so important. And when the installers are more educated on the project, on the product, the better outcome you're going to get, especially with the laminum. You guys have a great program. You have your own installers, which was huge for us on Hotel Impossible because the product is so large and you're basically carrying it around like a piece of glass, and you've got the suction cups and things like that. Not anybody can just install that. They have to be educated on that, which is so great. But yes, it's really hard when you're especially doing a historical project to be able to say, I want to save this and I want to implement this with that, and really getting somebody to understand it. And so yeah, I do a lot of finger crossing and praying and like, please don't ruin this.
all the time.
Marilyn, how about you? Is there anything that you would love the installation community to emphasize, or something that you wish that they knew or wish that they worked with you more on?
I just wish that they would just read about the product, have a little product knowledge. I mean, you know, all tile, they don't function the same way, or they don't lay the same way. Really, just take the time to read about how it's installed, or how it needs to be installed, so that it comes out properly. You know, that just take some time.
And with 7 bathrooms, I'm sure you have a favorite installer that you work with. What kind of conversations are you having with them over this massive project you're undertaking?
Grout joints are big for me. If they don't get the grout joint right, and I do like a really tight joint, it can just throw the entire smoothness installed product, finished product out of whack. So that's really big for me, for them to have grout joints, that knowledge.
You know, and grout is one of those things that I think designers kind of go, ugh. And yet, as we're here at this show in particular with all the setting companies, there are some sexy things happening in grout. So the fact that Laticrete you can match to Benjamin Moore colors. Several of them have what I call disco grout, so they're glittered and metallic.
Oh, wow.
Bostic's launching a new program with their grouts as well here. So I think that grout and the application thereof and making sure that it's really done in a masterful way is one thing, but I think that it can also become a designer friend versus foe, and a part of the aesthetic. So that always is interesting to me. So tile can be an expensive item to tear out and replace, and how does this play into your decisions on remodeling? I know we talked a little bit about the hotel job, but we also talked about not just tile but fixtures in some of the pink bathrooms. So tell us about how in some of your other projects the tear out versus the keep and remodeling, and how that affects your decisions.
Do you want to do it? It all has to go. Every little piece has to go. I've got a pink swan shower door. We do share with this. Yeah. I mean, a swan shower door.
Yeah,
it's got to
go.
It's got to go. What's interesting when you're doing a historic house, people in the community really want to be a part of it, and they really want to support you. But then when they hear about what you're doing to the house, their hearts begin to flutter. They start going, oh, you can't be doing that. You can't be serious. So that's very interesting to us, because we want to assure them we're going to do what's right to the integrity of the house. What you remember is the house in 1950. It really needs to be restored back to the 1918 version. And so we have to educate other people along the way to say, hey, look, we have in conversations with the grandchildren who have photographs of the house at Christmas time. We know what we're doing, and it's all got to go. It's all got to go. The pink's got to go, the green's got to go, the yellow's got to go. We have, in the 60s, the most weirdest bathroom in this house is wall-to-wall Formica. They put Formica over the window, they put Formica on the ceiling, They put Formica on the floor, all white with black trim. They covered up a window because they needed to put a shower in. And then next to the potty is a little potted plant stand, and that's wrapped in Formica too. So you've got white with little black trim. And the creepiest thing is it also has a fluorescent light bulb that hums. So you get this bzzz. So what are you going to do? Are you going to keep that? No, it's got to go. It's all got to go.
But you are keeping the fireplace surrounds.
We're keeping the fireplace surrounds. We're keeping the moldings, and we are keeping the architectural elements. But when it comes to the bathrooms and the kitchens, those got to go, because our lives change. The way we live change. And it really is the functioning of the house in those rooms. The way we get dressed every morning has changed today than we did 10 years ago and 15 years ago. We have conversations. Do you really need 2 sinks in the bathroom? Well, no, you don't, because we don't like to be in the room at the same time when another person's getting ready. You know, the only reason why you need 2 sinks is to figure out whose toothpaste gump is in the sink bowl. Is it yours or mine? You can't get yelled at.
So true.
So, to your point in the bathrooms in regards to tile, it's all got to be replaced because tile is really an architectural element of the home that we don't want to be dated. We don't want a person to walk into our home and say, oh, they did this renovation in 2017. We want them to walk into this home and say, wow, this is a beautiful architecture. And that's what tile is going to do for us, is they're going to walk into this place and say, they did it right. It stands the test of time. We're not going to get tired of it. We're going to love it. We're going to, lay on it and think this is the best thing ever.
Ann and Marilyn, do you have moments where your clients, if you're doing a remodeling, where they're like, oh, the tile's not so bad as what David just described. Can we keep it? And you're like, no, it's got to go. Or from a budget standpoint, you, in your case, did tile over tile. So, or maybe you're looking at something that's more eco-friendly. How does that happen in your world with your clients? Are you a subscriber to gotta go, or maybe we can save this?
Absolutely. I am definitely, it needs to go. Everything. I don't see the point in maybe doing half a renovation or 3/4 of a renovation. If you're going to do a renovation, just do the total thing, because at the end of the day, you're going to love it more. You're going to enjoy it more. There's no coming back and say, oh, I'm going to do this later. Come on. You don't even want to do it now, you don't like the renovation now, so you might as well just do it all once. And as far as, saving on maybe like the different tile pieces that you're going to put in, you can totally go, for something more budget friendly and mix it in with something that's more, more of a showpiece. You can pull it off, but I think and even for a kitchen, everything has to go. So I'm bored with David.
Sorry.
That's all right.
I don't think mine's working. I call it, when I talk to my clients about that, there's budget conscious projects. Of course, it depends on what space it is in the home. But I always joke, I say, do you want to put lipstick on the pig? Because that is what you're doing. If you're not renovating the entire space, why are we doing half of a project? Mm-hmm. It just doesn't make sense. And going back to being timeless and being, up to date as far as, we don't want this to say it was done in 2017 or it was done in 2009. We want it to be completely renovated. And in order to do that, and make a space complete, you've got to do the entire project. Plus, your kitchen and your bathrooms are what's the resale value of your home.
Absolutely.
So I'd rather you skimp on something else or not do another project until later, rather than, slowing down the budget for something that really needs to be done.
So we're going to talk a little bit about trends, and I want you guys to think a little bit outside of the tile industry and then come back. What are some of the trends in remodeling right now that you love, and how do you see those trends affecting the tile industry? I'm going to come back this way.
Less is more today, and we're seeing that in the tiles. It's not that you can't use accent tiles and you have your bling and things there, but everything's going bigger. We've got bigger tiles, we've got the laminum. We want less grout joints, and we want it to be more eco-friendly. We want it to be cleaner and just kind of a sleek space to look at, and there's not a lot of clutter or junk around anymore.
Definitely, like Ann said, less is more. Bigger tiles, more storage. They don't want to see anything, so a lot of hidden spaces, and a lot of automation too. Automation in everything. People are just into technology, and I think they're embracing
They want to control everything from their smartphone.
Absolutely.
Did I remember to lock the door? I can just go into my app and make sure.
Absolutely.
So, how about y'all?
Well, I think I echo what these ladies said, but the environmental part of it is really big right now, and you guys do that great. We saw it on the tour, how you recycle, unused toilets. Am I saying that right?
They were not previously
They were never used,
They were
and I love it.
manufacturing waste.
Yes, manufacturing waste. But I love that you guys do that, and we found that very intriguing, and we also see like classic elements coming back, like white Carrara marble, which is kind of the look is behind us with laminum. We love this, and we're seeing that a lot.
So we're going to start to kind of wrap this up. So if you guys think you have some questions, we'll take some questions in the end. But the last question for our panel that I had was, based on your remodel experiences, what are a few words of advice for other designers, but also for homeowners or for business owners when working with tile on a remodel project? If you could give a warning or a word of advice, what would that be?
I would say stay away from trends. The best thing for you to do is to go Home Depot and then look at what they have and not do any of it. Literally, stay away from trends. Also, if you're going to do a remodel project, look at tile that stands the test of time, because you may be doing the kitchen today, but you're going to be doing a bathroom tomorrow. And so kind of plan out what you want to do for the future of your home. Because when you go to sell it, and the new buyer walks through and they see the kitchen was done here, the bathroom was done here, and the guest bathroom was done at this period of time. And so you see this evolution, because most people cannot afford to redo their entire home all at one time. They have to do it in stages. So plan your stages out appropriately and plan your tile for each room appropriately too. You may want to invest in pre-buying that tile and have it get stored for you until you can't afford to install it. Or select a tile like a subway tile or something that you know that's going to be there 5 years down the road when you're ready to do the bathrooms.
I was asked about the state of white subway tile yesterday, and it's interesting because when we did a panel discussion back at Surfaces, another designer said that white subway tile is dead. It is timeless, but there are lots of interesting trends in there. So it's interesting. I find it not remarkable that you stated the subway tile, but I think it's classic. It's so classic.
What makes it different is the grout. The coloring of the grout changes as time frame.
It is.
And also the pattern. It's not just brick stacked, it's herringbone, it's all different basket weave. I mean, that it's so many ways, different ways to play it off.
True point. So what are some advice that you have for designers and homeowners, Marilyn?
I too would say stay away from trends. Look towards more timeless, classic design, but also embrace color. I am so on board with putting color in a bathroom or placing color in a kitchen. It doesn't have to be white or gray. We live in a colorful world, people. Embrace color.
Somebody's going to get a green and yellow toilet for Christmas.
I'll give you her address. And you certainly embrace color. So
I do. I definitely love color, and when color is used appropriately, it's a win-win. When it's overused, like the all pink, the all green, it's not going to work. So you have to use it in the right places. The other thing is that using the same tile, but using it in different directions and different patterns. Put the same tile on the floor as on the walls, but just change the direction. And again, you're being very budget conscious there because you're using one product and you have less waste, but you're getting a whole different look and a very clean look. That's what I'd recommend.
So do we have any questions from you guys for our panel that you might want to ask? If not now, then we'll be here for a minute. Anyone? Oh, what's your question? Is this John?
I'm John. I'm an installer in Vermont. I do a lot of bathroom remodels also, and what I'm seeing in trends are not the millennial trends, but I'm seeing transition trends to senior citizens moving out of that tub situation, getting into a handicap access, or thinking of their final years in the home. Could you speak to that? There's a lot of that going on in design and such.
Yeah. That's a really good point. I do lots of senior housing and seamless showers, not having that curb. And then we're going to the linear drains to make it, more functional to where you don't have to have the curb, and less grout lines. In a lot of senior projects, you can't have a lot of grout because it will erode from any kind of medications and things that they're on, and things that kind of seep out of your body when you're taking a shower. All of those things are very important to understand. Antimicrobial products are huge as well. So those are the things that definitely seeing in the senior housing.
What else? Thank you so much, John, for your question. We actually have a couple of mosaics that are launching that I can show you when we're done. I'm going to pitch my own product line here that work with linear drains in a shower pan. So that is definitely a trend that we're seeing in how we're responding as a manufacturer. So if nobody else has any questions, I want to thank our panel. Thank everybody for coming in today. And we'll be heading out now, but stay tuned for more Facebook Live sessions and video coming from Crossville on our Facebook and YouTube channels. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.